Of the people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
At 5 o'clock in the evening? I don't think so. You haven't slept well till you slept under a piece of plywood and it's raining in your room. Boy, that's going to go over well in the show.
I'm gone.
Hi, welcome to Comedy Parenting Radio. It's the show that never puts the wrong oil in the car's engine on purpose. We'd like to welcome all of our listeners from Tacoma, Washington, San Jose, California, and Elkhart, Indiana.
Weren't you born in Elkhart, Indiana?
Yes, I was, but I had to move clear out to Colorado for people to actually listen to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about layers upon layers, and we'll be right back.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Comedy Parenting Radio, and your blue sock is behind the bed.
It's layers upon layers here at Comedy Parenting Radio, and there's one that's really obvious to those of us here in Colorado.
Clothes.
More specifically, outdoor clothes, such as coats.
We do a lot of layering here in Colorado, don't we?
Yep.
Tons of it. That way we can be ready for any type of weather.
Which we get.
We get every type of weather every day.
Every hour. Now, This fall, it's true. When I was working up in the mountains this fall, I would put on the coat, have the sweatshirt underneath. It would come off. And then it would go back on because the wind picked up. Then it would come off later on. Then I put it back on, layers upon layers.
Over here, it can go from 70 degrees to below zero in about a minute or a half.
It seems that way.
The sun went away completely, and there was a really incredibly cold wind that came in. Yeah, it could go to a zero in about that.
Like yesterday. You walk around the corner of our house, and it went from 50 degrees to 30 degrees in 2 steps.
Yeah, because of the wind.
And then the sun goes down, he's right. Then you lose another 20 degrees right there.
Speaking of sun going down, don't you sleep when the sun goes down?
At 5 o'clock in the evening? I don't think so.
No, but a common thing that we do is we layer covers.
Hold on, and you know what you do when you sleep?
What?
Usually you have a blanket.
Or 2.
Or 3.
Or 4.
Or 5.
Yeah, it depends where you are. You could be in cold places where you put lots and lots of blankets on. Conventionally known as piling on the blankets.
Yep.
Or piling on the covers.
Yep.
I've only used 2 blankets at the same time.
Yeah, well, you're a bit of adamantium, so what you do doesn't apply to the rest of us humans. And you still had layers on.
What kind of layers?
I would like to point out one is normally made out of wool.
Yep. Yeah. Usually by the end of the week, I end up with like 4 covers.
I start with 4 covers at night, and then depending whether it gets colder or hotter during the night, I will either kick off covers or I'll add more covers.
Yep. Does anybody have a particular order they like to order their covers in?
I do.
What's that?
I like to put fluffiest cover on bottom, hardest cover on top, and in the middle of the layers upon layers of blankets is a nice wool blanket.
See, I do stuff like this. I will put fluffy covers on the bottom, hard, heavy covers on the top, and a bunch of rubber ducks in between.
That's actually usually what I do, is I'll take one of those nice and soft fuzzy blankets and that go at the end of your bed, and I'll usually use that and then put my large blanket on top, which actually isn't very large.
I like to start out with the fuzzy blanket on the bottom, then the fluffy blankets in the middle and then a sheet of plywood on top. 3/4 ply is the best. CDX.
Billboard.
Is that so that you can tack on insulation?
Yeah, I can tack on insulation or shingles, depending whether the house is leaking or not.
Or both, just have another layer of plywood.
You haven't slept well till you slept under a piece of plywood and it's raining in your room.
As a matter of fact, you don't sleep well at all unless you do that.
A tin roof. Okay, you're listening to Comedy Parenting Radio. We're talking about layers upon layers, and we'll be right back.
With aluminum foil. Never settle for less. That kind of wrap is just the best. To keep your sandwich nice and fresh. Stick it in your cooler. Eat it when you're ready.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
In the woods, just outside of town.
Oh, not surprising. You've got your home. Bears have theirs.
Yeah, but see, this wasn't just any bear. This bear was wearing jeans and a hat, as in a Smokey Bear.
Jeans and a hat. That's definitely Smokey. What exactly did he have to say?
Well, we were about to head home, after having a bonfire.
Oh, I can guess where this is going.
Right. See, Smokey told me the fire wasn't actually out. He said if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
That's true. Did you know that 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans? That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Wow, no kidding?
I'm a forest ranger. We never kid.
Sorry.
that was a joke.
Oh.
If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference, because 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sometimes you go to McDonald's or Burger King. Sometimes the people that work there, they're sharp and are on the ball. Other times you just got to wonder, you got to wonder what that hiring interview was like. Please, come in, sit down. Can you mumble? Can you mumble without making eye contact? Would you be willing to goof around with your coworkers while the customer grows impatient? Great, I think you'd be a good candidate for our management training program. We're going to have you watch an 8-minute training video, then we'll put you on the front counter. People get their own drinks now, you just got to hand them a cup. Oh, when you hand them a cup, make sure your fingers are sticking down inside the cup. That's our policy. And just give them a bag of food and you're done. There's no need to say thank you because we wrote that on the trash box.
You are listening to Comedy Parenting Radio with your host, Jared Begley.
Dad, I have done that. I've slept under plywood, during the summer.
How does that work?
Well, during the summer, I'll just grab a piece of plywood, go curl up somewhere, and put it over me.
Do you know why he does that?
No.
Because when people are looking for him to do his job, no one can find him.
Wow, you're going to be a good construction worker. Boy, that's going to go over well in the show.
Some layers are not originally visible.
What are you talking about?
Layers of art.
You mean like on priceless paintings?
Priceless paintings being hidden beneath less priceful paintings.
I know. Isn't that just the coolest thing when you hear in the news that some art dealer or somebody finds a original work by a master underneath something that's not really?
This is Cletus Johnson reporting for Channel 5, The Big Corn Cob. Today, a Mona Lisa was found underneath a child's drawing on a refrigerator door.
This is a very priceless painting we have discovered on the refrigerator door.
But look underneath the priceless painting, and what do you find?
A child's drawing.
You should not have erased the priceless layer to get down to the child's layer, however.
So that's how the priceless paintings go. And the reason they did that is because they didn't have a lot of canvases, and they used to just paint right over another painting, didn't they?
Yep.
I don't like this guy with the pitchfork standing there. I'm gonna draw a picture of a tractor on top.
It's a really good and tasty piece of art that comes in layers.
What would that be?
Cake.
Oh, I love cake.
What's the most amount of layers you've ever seen on a cake?
I've seen, fruit cake has cherries, tomatoes.
That's just ingredients.
Are those cherries and tomatoes or cherry tomatoes?
Cherry tomatoes.
Okay. What's on the next layer of the fruit cake?
Bananas and cucumbers.
Are you a failure as a parent or grandparent? Do your little ones cry for no apparent reason?
Do you have lots of money?
If you answered yes to these or any other invasive questions, we have good news for you. Treesock Press was named after a cat.
A very cute cat.
Treesock Press printed a book. That book is available in nearly indestructible hardback form and is printed with non-toxic ink so your little dinosaur can virtually eat the book. If this all seems too good to be true, you can go buy a cheap Disney book that's printed in China. Books printed in China aren't as good for teething toddlers as ones printed in Wisconsin.
What's the name of our book?
Dad the Tooth Fairy Didn't Come. This book is funnier than a root canal on a sinking ship.
I didn't know ships had teeth.
Order your copies of Dad the Tooth Fairy Didn't Come from Amazon today. Or tomorrow if you're on the International Dateline.
All right. For $1 million and a free trip to Goshen, Indiana, what do the letters CPR stand for?
Cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
So sorry, they stand for Comedy Parenting Radio. The most layers I've ever seen on a cake was 8. It was a very tall cake. It was for someone's wedding.
I don't think you can go more than 8 layers high on a wedding cake. And then they pull out little layers from below during the cake.
Yep.
It's sort of like wedding Jenga.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You know what else has layers?
What's that?
Skin.
That's too disgusting of a topic.
Why is that too disgusting?
Because people lose layers of skin when they're skateboarding and all that. We're not going there on this show.
You know what else has some very obvious layers?
What's that?
Rocks. Large rocks. Like
Grand Canyon?
Going through the Grand Canyon.
I would like to point out for Elijah that in the Grand Canyon on the west end, on the south rim, you can look down and see the Vishnu schist. It's black rock. Every scientist in the world agrees that that's the bottom layer of rock on the Earth.
Wow.
Can you imagine 1 mile thick of rock visible, and the bottom layer is the oldest bottom layer? There's another kind of layer that kind of resembles rocks.
What's that?
Women's makeup. Certain people from certain areas put on a lot of layers of makeup.
I'm gone.
A lot.
They start with a foundation, and they might do a blush, and then they'll put a couple layers of pancake makeup, and then some syrup makeup, and butter makeup, and then they'll have like the eyeliner and the...
And then they do alternating layers of concrete and metal.
It's true. Boy, are we going to get in trouble for this show.
Hold up. We can't do a show about layers without doing sandwiches.
Ooh.
I'm already hungry enough from the cake.
It's almost lunchtime.
But I love sandwiches. It's like a bit of bread, and then you have tuna or meat, whatever you have.
Egg salad. I love
egg salad.
3 layers thick of egg salad sandwich.
Then you have some lettuce. You have some lettuce, and you have some tomatoes. And
Dagwood. You ever heard of a Dagwood sandwich?
I don't think I have.
It was from a cartoon character named Dagwood.
Right,
he would make
Blondie.
sandwiches. His sandwiches in the cartoons were literally 2 feet high.
Ah, that's right.
I would love to have that.
It had everything from the refrigerator, cupboard, grocery store, delicatessen, cheese, meat market. Everything was on one sandwich. Okay, you've been listening to Comedy Parenting Radio, talking about layers upon layers. I want to thank you guys for working your way up here today through all the dirt.
We just sort of came up the layers of stairs.
And when you guys go...
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah?
Can you just take this priceless piece of artwork back to the art museum?
Right after I stick it behind this child's drawing.
Bye-bye.
This is the most magnificent discarded living room set I've ever seen.